Have you ever felt someone slip away while still lying next to you? Not with a goodbye, not with a fight, but with silence, with smiles that don't quite reach their eyes, with touches that feel more like rituals than love. If you've ever laid in bed beside a woman and felt lonelier than when you were alone, this video is for you. Because you're not imagining it, you're not broken, and you're definitely not weak. In fact, what you're feeling might be the quiet truth nobody had the courage to say out loud. And in part 6, I'll reveal the exact moment most men betray themselves just to keep someone close. But before that, let me take you somewhere familiar. I remember a Tuesday morning. She poured coffee like always. Same mug, same silence, same half smile. Except that morning when I said I love you, she didn't flinch. She didn't even pause. Just nodded and left for work. And I stood there, still holding my cup, realizing I'd just spoken to a memory. If you've been there, comment, I know that feeling. And don't forget, like this video, share it with a brother who needs clarity. And hit subscribe if you're done being the last to notice what's already changed.
She still says good morning, still shares your bed, still laughs at your jokes, but something's missing. Not a thing. A present. You feel it in the pauses, in the way her arms are around you, but her mind is miles away, in the way her lips still kiss, but no longer linger. This isn't the absence of love. It's the ghost of it. Most men ignore this shift. They label it stress, work, just a phase. But deep down, they know. Because real intimacy doesn't die loudly. It dims, like a light bulb, losing power, still glowing, but no longer lighting the room. You reach out to Hansi responds, but only enough to maintain the appearance, not the connection. He notices how her laughter lacks that wrinkle around the eyes, how her hugs feel like check-ins, not embraces, how sex has become a transaction, predictable, polite, empty. And when she turns to you in bed, her body's there, but her soul elsewhere. This is not drama, it's erosion. It doesn't scream, but it carves. Every night she turns her back to you without a word. She's chiseling at the walls you once built together. And here's the cruel paradox. She stays, not to reconnect, but to delay your suspicion, to keep the peace just long enough until she no longer needs to. She still cook dinner, still send okay texts, still sit next to you on the couch scrolling endlessly, heartlessly, and you'll convince yourself to hold on. But that version is gone, and what's left is a performance of love, of presence, of partnership. If you stay silent now, you won't just lose her. You'll lose yourself, because every time you accept less, you teach her it's enough. And every day you deny your gut, you bury a piece of your dignity to protect her comfort. But you're not here to beg for breadcrumbs. You're here to feel whole again.
There's a smile she gives you now. Not the one you fell for. Not the one that used to light up when you walked in the room. This smile is different. It's thin, timed, safe. She smiles like a politician, not out of joy but out of obligation. Just enough to keep things smooth. Just enough to keep you from asking, "What's wrong?" And if you do ask, she'll say, "Nothing. You're overthinking." But you're not. You're feeling. Because men, real men, don't need tears or drama to sense a change. They just need to pay attention. A woman's emotional truth always leaks, through tone, through body language, through the way she holds your gaze, or avoids it. She used to smile with her whole body, shoulders relaxed, eyes crinkling, leaning in. Now she smiles like someone closing a customer service call. Friendly, but detached. Her eyes dart elsewhere. Her replies are rehearsed. "You joke," she chuckles. but it's not real. And the most dangerous part? You start adjusting to it. You lower your expectations to match her disconnection. You start thinking, maybe this is what long-term love looks like. No, it's not. It's what emotional withdrawal looks like. And the tragedy is, you normalize it. You tell yourself she's tired, or preoccupied, or just going through something. But when presence feels like performance, love is already halfway out the door. A stoic man doesn't wait for disaster. He reads the energy. He reads the patterns. He knows when smiles become masks, the truth isn't far behind. And here's the truth. No woman who's truly present with you ever feels distant for this long. Because love doesn't hide behind routine. It reveals itself in the smallest moments, unplanned, unguarded, undeniable. If you've started doubting her smile, it's not your paranoia, it's your clarity sharpening. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Comment, I see it now. She still talks, but not like before. Now it's selective, filtered, safe. You used to know everything, her bad dreams, her favorite snack, the annoying coworker she always complained about. Now, you get headlines, not stories, summaries, not feelings. And she'll say, I'm just tired, or I've told you already, as if the problem is your memory, not her distance. But you know what changed. It's not the words, it's the weight. Her words used to be raw, spontaneous. Now they're curated, and her life, compartmentalized. She lets you in, but only to the rooms she's polished, only to the version of herself that's easy to digest. The rest, locked. And if you ask for the key, she gets defensive. Suddenly you're controlling, insecure, obsessive. And that phone, once a shared tool, now a private vault, face down, notifications off, always in her hand, always angled away. You didn't snoop, you didn't accuse, but she's already acting like you did. Why? Because guilt prepares its defense before you press charges. A stoic man knows truth is not fragile. Truth doesn't fear light. But when love starts hiding behind privacy, it's not love anymore. It's a script. And she's editing your part out. This is how it begins. Not with lies, but with erasure. One quiet omission. One private laugh you don't get to hear. One photo you're not in. She's not just hiding messages. She's hiding life. And you are becoming a guest in what used to be your home. Here's what most men miss. Emotional cheating doesn't feel like betrayal at first. It feels like exclusion. It feels like slowly becoming a stranger to someone you once knew better than yourself. If this feels familiar, comment. Locked out. She used to talk about us. Where should we travel next? When we get a place together? Even mundane things. What couch to buy, what movie to watch next weekend, felt like shared blueprints. Now, she talks about space. I've been thinking of moving. I need time to focus on me. The we has evaporated, replaced by vague aspirations with no room for you. No fights, no dramatic exits, just soft edits. And that's what hurts most. Not the absence of love, but the quiet restructuring of dreams you once built together. You used to be part of her sentences. Now you're just adjacent. She'll still be kind, still cook you breakfast, still send you TikToks that make her laugh. But none of it points forward, because her mind has already moved on, and her words are trying to catch up without alerting you. This isn't confusion. This is rehearsal. She's rewriting her life story, and you're being written out, gently, subtly, intentionally. You'll hear her say things like, I just want to grow. I'm evolving. I'm on a journey right now. But you're never invited along. And if you bring it up, you're too sensitive, dramatic, insecure. But you're not. You're paying attention. Because a woman doesn't start fantasizing about leaving unless she's already halfway gone, emotionally first, then mentally, then physically. By the time she says, "I need time," she doesn't need your permission. She's already packed, if not her things, then her presence. And every day you stay, hoping for her return. She's adjusting to life without you. Her hugs feel routine. Her eyes avoid yours. Her tone is neutral, always neutral. She's not confused. She's preparing. And here's the hardest truth. If you don't recognize the exit, you'll stay holding the door for someone who's not coming back. If you felt erased from the future, comment, "I'm not blind." It starts small. You forget to text back. She says you don't care. You leave a dish in the sink. She says you never listen. You speak calmly. She accuses you of a tone. And you? You apologize. Not because you're wrong, but because you want peace. But peace isn't what she's after. Not anymore. See, when a woman starts detaching, emotionally or physically, she needs a reason, a story, a villain. Because if she's the one pulling away, she has to reframe you as the one pushing her. That way, her guilt gets buried under your supposed mistakes. And she convinces herself first. Then she tries to convince you. So now you're playing defense in an argument you didn't start, defending your tone, your timing, your intentions. You start walking on eggshells in a house you helped build. And here's the twisted part. She doesn't want resolution. She wants justification. Because if you're the problem, then what she's doing, what she's planning, doesn't feel like betrayal. It feels like escape. And the conflict? That's camouflage. It's how she avoids accountability while shifting the emotional burden to you. But a stoic man sees through this. He doesn't confuse chaos with connection. He knows, when love becomes a courtroom, someone's already packed their bags. Because love doesn't argue over dishes. It doesn't nitpick tone. It doesn't weaponize forgetfulness. Love clarifies. Love seeks peace. Love builds bridges, not traps. If your conversations feel like landmines, if you're constantly trying to prove you care, that's not intimacy. That's emotional warfare. And you don't win by fighting harder. You win by stepping off the battlefield. By realizing when someone's already decided you're the bad guy in their story, no defense will change the script. So don't rewrite yourself to fit her justification. Reclaim your peace. If this hits home, comment, "I won't be the villain." You still share a bed, but it doesn't feel like home. The warmth is missing. The rhythm is broken. Something invisible lies between you, like a wall made of silence and memory. Some nights, she turns away without a word. Other nights, she leans in, but it feels off, too scripted, too intense. Like she's trying to prove something or hide something, and you're left wondering what's worse, the absence of affection, or the presence of something that feels hollow. This is where most men lie to themselves. They say, "At least she's still here. At least she still touches me. At least," but at least is a low bar for love. Because real intimacy isn't measured by frequency. It's measured by presence. And when that presence is missing, you feel it. Not in her body, but in her energy. Her eyes don't close the same. Her breathing isn't synced. Her touch doesn't linger. It lands and leaves. And when you bring it up, she says, "You're imagining things. I'm just tired. You're being sensitive." But you're not. You're aware. Because sex, when real, is a language. And that language has changed. It's no longer fluent, no longer native. Now it's a foreign tongue spoken for appearance, not connection. And here's the stoic truth. A woman can't truly give you her body if her soul belongs somewhere else. And the longer you pretend otherwise, the more you betray yourself trying to protect the illusion. You'll start reading meaning into meaningless moments, interpreting touch like a desperate translator, searching for the love that used to be fluent between you. But deep down, you know, you're not being made love to, you're being tolerated. And a man grounded in self-respect doesn't negotiate his worth through physical crumbs. He steps back, he reassesses, and he remembers. His body is not a bargaining chip. His presence is not a consolation prize. If this feels familiar, comment. I see through the touch. Detachment doesn't arrive like a storm. It drips like a leaking faucet, quiet, constant, cumulative. You don't notice it at first. You just feel off. Conversations shorten, laughs don't echo. Her presence becomes a pattern, not a connection. She's there, but not there. And the reason most men miss it? Because we're taught to look for action, not absence. But emotional betrayal rarely announces itself. It doesn't kick down the door. It erodes the floorboards. It begins when she stops turning to you with her joys, stops trusting you with her fears, starts keeping the best parts of her day to herself. And what's left for you? The surface, the routine, the role you still play in a movie she's rewriting without you. See, detachment isn't passive. It's strategic. It's her way of cushioning the exit, of making sure when she leaves you're already used to her absence. And most painful of all, she might not even be cheating physically, but emotionally, she's gone. And here's what stoic clarity reveals. You don't need proof of infidelity to feel abandoned, because a woman can break the bond long before she breaks the vow. And when you stay too long in that emotional wasteland, you begin to rot too. You become quieter, less you, more numb. Not because you're weak, but because you've stopped demanding realness and started accepting performance. But the man who truly knows himself doesn't settle for shadows. He sees detachment for what it is, a quiet goodbye, dressed in daily routine. And he answers it not with begging, but with boundaries. Not with chasing, but with choosing himself. If you felt her fade before she left, comment. I've seen the signs. She doesn't slam the door. She just stops opening it. You knock, through affection, through effort, through patience, but the warmth never returns. And one day, you realize, you're holding a love letter to someone who stopped reading. This is the moment most men break, not because of heartbreak, but because of hesitation. They know they should walk, but they stay, hoping, rationalizing, bargaining with memory. If I just love her harder, if I give it one more week, if I stop bringing it up, maybe things will go back. But here's the brutal clarity. Things don't go back. They unravel forward. And when a woman has emotionally evicted you, staying doesn't earn respect. It erodes it. The stoic man knows. Dignity doesn't argue. It doesn't beg. It doesn't prove its worth to someone who's already stopped seeing it. Dignity walks away, not with bitterness, not with a scene, just with certainty. Because when you start shrinking to fit into her comfort zone, you lose yourself. When you stop speaking your truth to avoid tension, you silence your soul. And when you stay for who she was instead of who she is, you abandon the present for a fantasy. You don't need permission to leave. You don't need closure wrapped in compassion. You need self-respect rooted in reality. And if she had to hurt you to find herself, she was never yours to begin with. So leave, not because you're angry, but because you're done choosing someone else's peace over your own. Comment. I'm choosing me. After betrayal, there's a silence, not just around you, but within you. It's the quiet that follows the storm, when everything looks still, but inside, you're scattered. And this is the fork in the road. Some men get stuck here, replaying the past, retelling the pain, trying to make sense of something senseless. Others, they rebuild, not out of rage, not to show her, but out of reverence for the man they forgot to protect. See, stoic rebuilding isn't about pretending it didn't hurt. It's about choosing not to bleed on everything that still loves you. It starts simple. You get out of bed, not for her, but for your future self. You hit the gym, not for revenge, but because your body deserves strength again. You set boundaries, not to punish, but to protect your peace. You stop checking her social media. You stop reading old messages for clues. You stop chasing closure from someone who communicated everything through absence. And most importantly, you stop blaming yourself for someone else's lack of integrity. A stoic man learns this. You are not unlovable. You are just unmatched. You are not broken. You are just temporarily bent. You are not behind. You are just being rerouted towards something clearer. And while she may have walked away easily, you're walking towards something greater, with effort, with depth, with dignity. Rebuilding is slow, it's lonely, but every act of self-discipline is a brick in the new foundation of who you're becoming. No longer reactive, no longer desperate, just deliberate, rooted, whole. If you're ready to stop bleeding and start building, comment, rebuild. You won't get the explanation you deserve. She won't sit you down and admit the timeline. You'll never know when it really started, how long she'd been gone before her body followed. And that's the final trap, chasing closure, waiting for her to make it make sense. But stoic men don't chase explanations. They choose peace. Because here's the truth most never hear. Closure isn't something she gives you. It's something you give yourself when you stop needing her words to validate your pain. You don't need an apology to heal. You don't need a reason to walk. You only need one moment of clarity, where your peace becomes more important than her presence. She may say you gave up too soon, that you changed, that she was confused. Let her. Let her write whatever story she needs to justify the ending. You? You write the next chapter in silence. You don't clap back. You don't prove your side. You don't haunt her inbox with the questions she already chose not to answer. You move with grace. Because dignity isn't loud. It's not dramatic. It's the quiet decision to stop participating in your own disrespect. So let her have the last word, if it means you get the last piece. And if anyone asks, tell them you left when you realized you were talking to someone who stopped listening. Tell them you chose clarity over chaos, peace over pride. And if today, this message lifted the fog in your chest, even just a little, comment, I choose peace. Like, share, subscribe, because around here, we don't beg to stay, we rise to leave.